Hi sewing friends, I'm Karina from Lifting Pins and Needles. Welcome to my channel all about sewing. As promised, I am showing you a jumpsuit made out of knit fabric. I've mentioned this in my June plans and in my previous video of my first jumpsuit ever. So if you haven't watched that, please go and watch. A little different experience with this jumpsuit that I made though. I think I have to admit I am most comfortable with woven fabric. I can do flat measurements. I know the fit is going to be like I think it was going to be. When patterns are designed for knit fabrics, I am wary from the get-go. I can't flat measure well because the pattern relies on stretch, horizontal and vertical. So what I think is too small might be. So from the get-go, I was very worried about making the Sirocco jumpsuit. Now, this pattern is not new. It's been released a while back already. There are so many people that have made it. And from seeing all these versions online, I do notice some things that I did want to fix to what I wanted. And you're gonna see I've made a lot of changes, and it's not a bad thing, it's not a bad thing. And having the freedom to change things around to what I want is what I love the most about sewing. I don't wanna be stuck into a rigid frame of mind that I have to make it just as is, you know. I don't like that, and you probably already know that about me because I will happily change things around. So yeah, that is my introduction to this, and I might be the only one that's not gushing about this pattern, but over the course of the video you're gonna see why. Before we hop into the review, I'd love to ask you to subscribe to the channel, please. I'd love to get this channel with higher numbers so that more people could see it. The like and the comments mean a lot for YouTube, that you're engaged with me, that you're liking what I do, and that way they can share it to more people and more people can see it and the channel can grow. So it's just two very simple actions that you can do to help, and just click on the thumbs up, write me a little message or an emoji, and it really helps a lot. I purchased this pattern soon after it was released with the intention of waiting a lot of time to make it. I didn't want to like make it straight away. I wanted to see it on lots of people. It's a very popular pattern. If you look at the hashtag on Instagram, you'll see many. And when I saw all the photos that there are available, I started noticing some things, and that's what started to make me really wary about making this. But I knew I had to make it. I had purchased the pattern. It's not a cheap pattern, and if I spent money on it, I want to make it, you know. This jumpsuit has a crossover bodice with sleeves, short sleeves, and that neckline has a band. Also on the front here there are some pleats, and all that bodice tucks into a waistband. That waistband is attached to pants. The pants have pleats on the front that point outwards, and big huge pockets on the hips. At the back of the bodice also has similar pleats to the one on the front, and the pants have darts for shaping. The lengths can be in a shorts version. Now I measured the inseam, it was very short. I think it was about 4 to 5 inches, and then there's a full length, you know, inseam. The leg for the full length, it looks tapered down to the ankle. And on paper, when I look at line art, I think, oh, this is a pretty design, you know, when I look at it. The fabric recommended is medium weight knits because of the fact that there's no closures anywhere, and that the waist has a lot of negative ease. You just need to like stretch that waist out to get it over your hip. So yeah, medium weight fabric with 60% stretch. I tested the stretch on mine, and you know, I do it on a 5-inch space, you know. So I put my fabric there and I stretch it out to my cutting mat, and mine stretched out to 7.5, so it was 50%. But I thought, you know, this is fine, 50% is fine. I'm not actually making a size that is like several sizes different from the waist or the hips or anything like that. So I deemed my fabric fine. The sizing is 34 to 52 European sizing, with a bust of 31.5 inches to 45 5/8 inches, and hips 33 3/4 inch to 48 inches. There's 2 inches of positive ease around the bust and 3 inches of positive ease around the hips. However, at the waist, there's 3 inches of negative ease. 3 inches! I was like, I'm comfortable with negative ease on knit fabric, okay? If I'm making a dress, a fitted bodice, I'm comfortable with up to 2 inches of negative ease. 3 I find is just too figure hugging, too tight on my skin. Yeah. So due to the fact that there's all that negative ease, when you look at the finished garment measurements and you see the huge difference in the finished, you know, size at the waist, I have to be honest, and I was very worried. So I chose my size. My size is a 46. I should have made a straight 46 there, but considering that I was very worried about that ease around the waist and that I don't want it that tight, I just made a 46 up here, a 46 down at the hips, and then I tapered out from like under the bust here to the waist 48, and then from the waist I tapered back into 46, about that much after the waistband. So there's a little bit of play with the pattern there, but I was just worried I wasn't going to be comfortable with a waist that tight on me, you know? So that's what I did. When I measured this pattern, I thought, oh, this bodice is so short, there's no way this is going to be like an empire cut, you know? That's what I figured out from flat measuring. So I went and made a bodice and just arbitrarily added an inch. Just added an inch and I made a bodice. Now this bodice is just a really rough bodice with leftover scraps. The stretch is the same as my main fabric. I didn't put the bands on the front, but no, I didn't need to add an inch. Actually the bodice length was fine. What this helped me to see when I put this on, I'm like, oh no. In Up Close and So Personal, you're gonna see a few adaptations I made to the pattern for my comfort levels of modesty and other things, pattern layout, sewing, a whole bunch of stuff. Is going to be really good, so stay tuned, and that's coming in right now. I purposely bought 1.5 meters because I knew I could get it out. There is the back pattern piece there on the fabric, and then I have the front piece over there. They are flipped. That always saves a lot of fabric, and this is a solid, no nap, no print. There's the front bodice, the back bodice, the waistband, and the band that goes at the neckline. Now, I always try to place to have big chunks of fabric left over. I like to color block, and you never know, you might see that on another garment. I want to make my shorts longer, and I want to make them wider to not look like cycle tights. So you can see there's a curved line there. That's the original length of the shorts version they offer. That inseam is tiny. I want it longer, so I've lengthened it, as you can see, 7 inches down. And that includes the hem that I've made at 1.5 inches. Now I've made that little shape there following the shape of the leg so that the hem lies nicely. Now, to avoid the cycle look, I am going to widen the pants there. I'm not sure how much yet, but I'm going to widen that because I don't want the shorts to be tight on my thighs. I just don't like that look at all. So I'm going to make that modification there. That is the front piece that you're seeing. And then I'm going to do the front. Now all this is eyeballing. There's the front, and I'm also there on the side going to leave that a little bit wider and an extra bit for the hem. There you can see how I actually widened the back pattern piece just a little bit, just straightened the seam down. Front pattern piece is not completely straight, but wider than the original would be. I'm a big pocket disliker, and this will be no exception. I don't like the bulk at the hips, so we are removing that. I've placed the pocket facing behind the pattern piece, and then the pocket bag just there, and matched everything up to account for the missing fabric there on the side. So by pinning this together, I have a completed front piece without having to deal with the pocket, so they are gone. I made a muslin and the crossover was too low. I don't want my cleavage seen, so let's fix it. This is the front pattern piece of the jumpsuit, and I made a muslin. It's really hard to assess length on stretch garments. So at the lengthen and shorten line, I cut it and I added an inch to my muslin. And that was useless because I didn't need that inch. I think this length is going to be fine. What I did find that the crossover here was just not enough coverage for me. So from the bottom here, See that little shape there? From there to there, I've measured 1/2 inch and extended it and followed the shape that it has there. And then from there, so where sort of half point of the arm side across to the neckline, from there I just drew a line. You know, it's not going to make much difference to the length of the band. This is the band that I have to cut out. So I'm probably going to lengthen it here by a quarter of an inch to lengthen the band a little bit, but I don't think it's going to make such a big difference, you know. And basically that is the only fit adjustment I'm going to do to these so far. A muslin can give you lots of information, and I need to raise the arm side because I want it sleeveless. So you can see the red poking out behind the pattern piece. I decided to raise the arm side by 3/8 of an inch. And I just freehand drew that there and united the curve up to the arm side there for the front and the back. This way I get more coverage for my sleeveless arm side. This is not a sew along, it's just the way I sew, so don't think these are the instructions. I've sewn the shoulder seams just with a straight stitch that doesn't need to stretch, and the side seams I've used a zigzag stitch because I do really want that to stretch. There are pleats on the front bodice there. I've marked them with a pen and then pinned them, and those ones you need to fold them into the center, like towards the center. So I'm going to put a pin there and sew that. I'm going to do that to both of the pleats on both parts of the bodice on the front, and I want to secure them so I can forget about them and then just have that done there. So I've just sewn that. That's done. Here you can see them, and you can see that on the outside of the bodice the pleat points to the, you know, to the side seams, and that's how it's supposed to be. On the back you have the same, so the back is an extended piece there that was cut on the fold, and these ones you need to fold those pleats into the center and sew them down the same way. Now I've completed that. This is my back bodice piece. I've marked the center with a pin, I've marked my band with a pin, and you know the band is folded wrong sides together. I'm going to pin that, and then I'm going to make sure that the shoulder seam is towards the back. So I'm going to put a pin there just to remind myself to sew it that way. Now the whole band, I divided it in 4 as I divided the neckline into 4. So you see that I'm matching that quarter to this quarter with this pin on the neckband to the bodice, pinning that, and on the extremes of the band as well. So the band is slightly shorter, as you can see there. I'm going to have to stretch the band a little bit as I sew to match the neckline, and I'm doing this on my serger. I'm doing this in like 10 seconds. It took me like 1.5 minutes to do it really carefully. I'm using my awesome serger, as you can see there, my semi-industrial metal serger. So once I've sewn the band on, I'm going to sew with a zigzag stitch, and I'm doing a smaller seam allowance. I'm using like 6 millimeters because I want the band to cover a bit more. Then I'm going to top stitch that band down with my 1/4 inch foot just to make it nice and neat and to help it lie flat. And that completes this part of the bodice. Look how it looks really neat and flat. This part of the bodice has been assembled. Now here there are these marks that mark the middle there and there, so you have to match them up. I'm going to pin that to make the bodice just one piece, and then I have the waistbands attached on the side seams. I've just done a straight stitch, and I'm going to press the seams open to reduce bulk, so these ones will go sewn onto the bodice there. So I've got my waistband pinned onto the bodice, right sides together. And look at here on the front where all this overlap is. Look at all that bulk. There's layers upon layers upon layers. I know this is going to be super uncomfortable for me. So if it's going to be bulky, it's going to be bulkier, but more comfortable. So I've just cut another, same waistband in a remnant, same stretch as the main fabric, and I've put that inside the bodice. So this one is right sides together with this one, and the bodice is sandwiched in between. And when I sew this on the inside, once I press it, it's going to look really clean, and this is going to be smooth on my skin. I'm not going to have like a seam bothering me. So if it's going to be bulky, let's make it bulky, but with a purpose. So I've sewn on the waistband with an extra layer, as you can see there. The seams don't need to be finished because this will be closed in there. So I've pressed it, and on the inside it looks super neat. And I mean, if it's gonna be bulky, might as well have an extra layer of bulk to get this smooth feeling on my skin for sure. Now for the bottom of the waistband, now I'm just gonna treat this as normal and attach the pants to this together like normal. Bodice is done. Let's pay some attention to those pants, and especially those pleats at the front. They can be confusing. There's a pleat there that I've pinned together at the marks. And now this is where your crotch is, so that's the center. So you need to press this pleat to the center, and actually it even matches. If you wanted to make a mistake and press it the other way, look what's going to happen. And then if you press it the wrong way, when you wear your pants, the pleat is going to go into the center, and that is super unflattering. When pleats go out to the outer bit, to the hip, that's more flattering. But that means that on the inside, you need to press it towards the center. And the pleat is designed to be like this. So you shouldn't really make this mistake. These are the two front pieces. So I have my pleats there or pinned at the top. I have to do a basting stitch to hold that in place. And this is where you would have that infamous pocket here that I eliminated. So I'm not excited about these pleats, but hey, I'm sewing them. Can't really get rid of them. So this is the center here, and that's where the crotch curve is. I knew from my muslin that I need to adjust the arm side. There was some gaping there. I do want it sleeveless, and that is sort of normal for it to gape a little bit. So I've also wanting to narrow that shoulder there. I don't want it that wide. And on myself, I've pinned out a dart. You can see the other side has that excess. Then I just transfer what I did there to the other side, the same. Close those two darts and narrow those arm side. Here is my Sirocco jumpsuit. I know it's really hard to see, like that. My fabric is a very, I would say, medium to heavyweight. It's got a texture. It's a sort of like crepe type thing, and I sort of already have mentioned the things that I was worried about during construction, mainly the bulk around this area. So this area here has a pleat and a band, and I don't even want to count how many layers there's there that goes into that waistband. And it was just horrible to sew, and I think I made it look a bit neat, although it could be neater. And what helped it look neater, and you're gonna think I'm crazy, is that I lined this waistband. Now you saw me do that on the video right now. I want to show you how it looks inside. Now if I hadn't have done that, I would have this really chunky seam that sort of sticks up and would rub against me and wouldn't lie all the way down. When I have a waistband that is pressed down and then sewn onto the pants, this makes the seam lie flat all the way down. So I think doing that helps. This is a remnant. You might recognize it from a skirt. Same stretch as the main fabric. I was made sure to check that they were going to stretch the same and that my lining wasn't going to affect the fit of the jumpsuit. So I think doing that helped. You can see inside how the pleats go. So there's no way you can make a mistake with the direction of the pleats if you just follow the shape of the pleats. Plus, all the instructions are very clear, the diagrams are very clear. At the back, you can see the darts there. You can see I have pressed the seam open for the crotch. And originally, I hadn't done that. I actually made an adjustment after the fact, after I made it. I'm going to show you a clip of me wearing it before I fixed it. At the front, just below the waistband, all this area, there was so much like volume and bulk and extra fabric there. I wasn't happy at that stage at all. This is how it looks on. This is the length I chose, just above the knee. And as you saw, I straightened out the leg for this length. If I'd kept the tapered look like it's supposed to be for the trousers, shorts that are tapered in like that don't look good at all. And that's why I made that change, and I'm glad I did. I have mixed feelings about this. I'm not too happy with the way everything looks on the front. And I know it's supposed to, but I'm just used to having a more sleek look up here. I also think I've got extra room here at the crotch. It just looks really disturbing to me. And this area here of the bulk is not that nice too. The shaping at the back is okay, like the little darts and everything, but I just don't know. I'm on the fence. So at that stage, I was very unhappy. Even my son was like, the front is so weird. There's like a bubble there and like extra fabric. And I'm like, yeah, you know, that's how it is. And then I decided, no, let's go in there and try to fix this. So I had a bit of help with the pinning, and I'll put a clip here to show you what I've done. I had too much space around here, and I still think I do. I've pinned out some excess there, if you can see how much, like 7 millimeters from the stitching line. You can see some pins there taking out some excess at the back. I think it looks better now. The way I constructed these pants was to be able to make this modification much easier. So basically you make one leg, you make the other, you turn one leg inside out and put it inside, so that then you have right sides together. This is the front crotch curve and the back. So these ones would have already been attached. As you can see, I've pressed the seams open everywhere. It's less bulky. And this is what I've pinned out with the jumpsuit on. So this is the front. I've taken out some excess there. I'm lengthening the curve at the bottom a little bit. I needed that. It was set on the sewing bee. It was a little hungry in the bum. So that's taken out some excess. It's super easy adjustment. I don't have to like unpick anything. All I need to do is sew again my new line and then re-serge so I can trim out excess. And then I think I'll be happier. I've also been toying with unstitching this part here on the waistband and having the seam press open here on the front. I think it would be less bulky than having it together. Okay, so after doing all this fix, I think the jumpsuit fits fine. I do think the design is pretty. I don't think the design of this area is suitable for stretch fabrics. There's just too much bulk. The pleat at the back, it doesn't bother me. It doesn't bother me. It's just one pleat at the back. There's no crossover. I don't think the waistband is looking that bad right there. But that is just my opinion. I might be the only one that's like not gushing about this pattern. But hey, it's my opinion, you know? I'm now going to show you a fit clip of how it fits after I fixed it and some pictures. And I'm still not completely happy with it, although it is much better. If I'm standing stiff, you know, but I don't live my life that way, I do need to move. When I walk and I move, look at this. I really dislike that a lot. It's due to the pleats, you know. The fit for the back is okay. It's just this I'm not happy with, me like living my life in something with all this stuff, you know. And that is why I'm on the fence about it. Now I think this would make a really pretty skirt. If this was a skirt with these pleats, it would be fine, you know. So I was just telling my husband how I'm not gonna wear this, that this is something that is unwearable for me, that I would transform it into a dress. And he said, why? And I explained all this issue that I had around the front. And he's like, but that's just something that you can see when you look at yourself down, because I can't see that. I'm like, but look when I move. And he's like, you can't see anything, it's fine. And that, I mean, that's his opinion and helpful for me. But at the end of the day, I'm the one wearing it and looking down and seeing all that bulk. And I have to be happy to wear something outside. So this is probably going to become a dress. And when I transform it into a dress, you're going to see it. That is all I wanted to share. Let me know what you think. Are you making this? I know it's super popular and I know several of you have said you're making it. This is my opinion. And yeah, that is my honest review of the Sirocco jumpsuit. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you very soon on Sunday with a super cool dress I'm making. Happy sewing. Bye.